Speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
The reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole.
Exclusive. Branding experts warn that Rachel Zegler backlash could ruin Disney's big-budget Snow White remake.
What would you do when you have this narcissistic nightmare trying to ruin a film that you've put hundreds of millions of dollars into?
What are the worst rated movies on IMDb?
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince.
Candace Owens is seeing red over Disney's Snow White remake. And trust me, she's not alone. But you know who's really got her blood boiling? Rachel Zegler, the film's woke leading lady. Zegler's cringeworthy hot takes and relentless virtue signaling have pushed Candace to unleash a scorched earth takedown that sent shockwaves through the land of woke. And guess what? It hit so hard that Zegler just dropped a tear-eyed apology video. Because nothing says girl boss like a meltdown after being called out. So how did Candace completely obliterate Rachel Zegler? Let's get into it.
It's important to speak about her because Disney picked her to be a princess, right? They're doing all these remakes, and they decided they were going to remake Snow White, and they cast Gal Gadot as the Wicked Witch, and they cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, and it's been interesting casting because this woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Right out of the gate, Candace Owens goes straight for the jugular. No sugarcoating, no fluff. She flat out calls Rachel Zegler deranged, and honestly, she's got a point. This is a girl who took an on-screen rivalry and turned it into real-life chaos, putting her own co-star Gal Gadot in serious danger. See, Zegler, who can't resist injecting herself into global conflict she barely understands, decided to publicly tweet her support for Palestine. Now, normally that's just another day in woke Hollywood, but here's the catch. Gal Gadot served in the Israeli Defense Forces, and once that little detail resurfaced, boom, suddenly Gadot was drowning in death threats, all because Zegler's tweet turned her into a target. And what did Zegler do when people called her out for essentially putting a bullseye on Gadot's back? Did she apologize? Show an ounce of regret? Nope. She doubled down, cold, dismissive, and utterly indifferent to the fact that she might have just put Gadot and her family in real danger. But hey, that's the woke way, isn't it? Say whatever gets you clout, and damn the consequences.
And of course, if you are a business like Disney, you are leaning into what the movie Snow White meant to the people that were raised on it. People like me who watched Disney princess movies when the world was okay and it was acceptable for us to dream about being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince. But oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince.
And that right there's the real problem. The woke agenda isn't just about tweaking culture. It's about tearing it down and rebuilding it in their own warped image. They want to erase traditions, rewrite norms, and convince an entire generation that the things we once aspired to are wrong. That little girl who dreams of being swept off her feet by a dashing prince? According to the woke crowd, she's been brainwashed.
Fans accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
She's not going to be safe with a prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
To them, true love is outdated. The idea of a man chasing the woman he adores, wooing her, proving himself, making grand romantic gestures, isn't chivalry anymore. Nope, now it's stalking. Now it's toxic masculinity. And God forbid a woman actually wants to embrace femininity, because in their world, being a woman isn't good enough. You have to become a man, outmuscle men, replace men. See, it's never about empowerment. It's about control. It's about dictating what's acceptable and shaming anyone who dares to disagree. And that's exactly why Hollywood keeps shoving their woke messaging into every movie, every show, every fairy tale. Because the goal isn't entertainment. It's indoctrination.
It's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
Now do you see why Kamala Harris was shoved down everyone's throats? To the woke elite, qualifications don't matter. Competence doesn't matter. It's not about who's best at the job. It's about checking a box. To them, presidential ambitions aren't built on leadership, experience, or vision. Nope, It's all about identity politics. And that's exactly why you shouldn't brush off Rachel Zegler's little launching my campaign comment. Some of you might think she was just joking, but if you know how the woke mob operates, you know better. They don't make these moves accidentally. They're intentional, planting seeds, normalizing absurdity, and slowly pushing the Overton window until their wildest fantasies become mainstream reality. They took a deeply unpopular vice president and forced the media to prop her up as some historic, untouchable icon. And now they're setting the stage for Zegler and her generation of activists to take the next step. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about a bad actress with an even worse attitude. It's about the long game.
They have been making this film for a very long time because it's just been so scandalized. And so they had to basically put it on ice after people were firstly outraged by Rachel Zegler speaking ill about the prior film, the film that she was remaking. And it's such a weird thing for their whole pitch as feminists to be is like the best thing you can strive to be as a man. Everything will be great once we just act exactly like men. There's nothing special about being a woman. Let's just be men. It just doesn't feel like we're winning.
So no Prince or a different kind of Prince?
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yep.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Yep. They're not even hiding it anymore. The mask is off and their true intentions are out in the open, to emasculate men, while ironically trying to turn women into men. And like Candace Owens rightly pointed out, it's almost as if their entire goal is to be men. Think about it. They don't want strong masculine men. Those are dangerous. Those are toxic. But at the same time, they don't want women to be feminine either. No, that's oppressive. Instead, they push this bizarre role reversal fantasy where men are supposed to be weak, submissive, and apologetic, while women are expected to be dominant, aggressive, and indistinguishable from the men they claim to despise. They screech about smashing the patriarchy, but what do they do the moment they get power? They don't abolish masculinity. They steal it. They mimic it. They become the very thing they claim to hate. And yet, they still call us the crazy ones for pointing it out. It's not about equality. It's not about empowerment. It's about control. Rewriting the rules so they always come out on top.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me.
Right.
And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards.
At this point, fans weren't just angry. They were livid. Why was Disney so hell-bent on butchering the legacy of the very cartoon that made them a household name? They had every opportunity to honor the original, to actually cast real-life dwarfs for roles. But nope, they went with CGI instead. And when people rightfully question why they chose lifeless digital creations over actual human actors, Disney's excuse was pathetic. They claimed they didn't want to reinforce dwarf stereotypes. Excuse me, what? So instead of giving real actors real jobs, they decided to erase them completely, in the name of woke virtue signaling. Imagine telling an entire community of little people that their existence is a problem that needs to be avoided. That playing a dwarf, a role literally designed for them, is somehow offensive. This isn't about progress. It's about erasing anything that doesn't fit their twisted worldview. And yet, they wonder why fans are outraged. And what did Rachel Zegler do to calm the fans' nerves? She posted a message on Instagram wishing harm on all Americans who voted for Trump. She wrote, I find myself speechless in the midst of all this. Another 4 years of hatred leading us toward a world I wouldn't want to live in. Leading us towards a world that would be hard to raise my daughter in. Leading us toward a world that would force my daughter to have a baby she doesn't want. Leading us toward a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke in fear this morning, and I am here with you. To cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly shouldn't have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Cain's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. This social media post sparked outrage among fans of the popular story, and they took her to the cleaners. Chief among them, Candace Owens.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now.
Megyn Kelly and pretty much every sane person torched Rachel Zegler for openly calling for harm on half the country. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was deranged. And she didn't just get pushback from conservatives. Even some moderates and liberals were side-eyeing her reckless rhetoric. Commentators across the board call her out for being a performative, pandering punk who thrives on woke outrage and self-righteous grandstanding. Many even argued that if anyone else had made such an incendiary statement, especially someone on the right, they'd be canceled into oblivion. Finally, the heat got to her, and she apologized for her words and actions.
The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere, and everything I do, people will wait in line to see. The dumb things I've said, I don't absolve myself from that. I'm not sitting here being like, I'm 21, please forgive me. Like, the stupid I've said and done is stupid. But I just want to say, in my personal life, I intend to move forward with a lot more grace for myself as I grow. There is a lot that I don't know, and I won't know it until I learn it, until I feel it, until I understand it, until I can see it in my hands and say, I am not broken, my break is not my end.
What a pathetically insincere and dishonest apology. I mean, seriously, look at how hard she's trying to flip the script and play the victim. Suddenly it's all about her age, as if being young somehow excuses ignorance, hypocrisy, and flat-out stupidity. But guess what? Nobody's buying it. Candace Owens and plenty of others saw right through her crocodile tears and kept calling her out for her woke nonsense. Because let's be real, this wasn't an apology. This was a damage control PR stunt. If she were truly sorry, she wouldn't be blaming her age. She'd be owning her mistakes. But accountability? That's too much to ask from the woke elite. At the end of the day, Rachel Zegler is just another performative, self-righteous Hollywood actress who preaches wokeness, but crumbles under real criticism. Her empty apologies, double standards, and reckless rhetoric prove one thing. She's not sorry. She's just sorry she got called out. And trust me, people won't forget. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more fiery commentary like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.